Imagine you are a new parent. You spend lots of time out of the house pushing the pram around the local town centre and find you can be out of the house for most of the day yet have no interactions with other people. While you are happy and blessed with the experience of having a baby, you also find it can be quite lonely. And I can tell you about this because 3 years ago that was me, and I had my own little boy Henry. I was out and about in busy streets and cafes, and on one level I was unbelievably happy, but often I felt quite isolated. I'm here to tell you about the idea I had called the Chatty Cafe scheme. My idea wasn't just about reducing loneliness for people like me, but also for many other types of people. So I'm going to tell you how I got it started, put it into action, and by doing so, discovered that my idea addresses a far wider need and has truly global potential. About 3 years ago, I was sat at a cafe table with 4-month-old Henry, who was gorgeous but not great company. And I looked around the cafe, and at one table was an elderly lady looking really down and fed up. And on another table was a man with a disability and a carer, and they were just looking at each other, not making much conversation. It got me thinking, wouldn't it be great if we could have all sat together while we drank our tea? I wasn't looking for lifelong friends or commitment, just some company and conversation. And that simple act of sitting together could have given us all 20 minutes of connection instead of isolation. And maybe we would have left a little bit happier for having had some human contact. It is possible if I had gone over to their tables, they would have not wanted to talk to me. And as you know, approaching a stranger is not necessarily comfortable for either party. And not feeling very confident, I thought they might think I was after something. But it certainly got me thinking, wouldn't it be great if there was a way that customers who were happy to talk to other customers could do? And I found a way, and it's working. So in April 2017, I set up the Chatty Cafe scheme. And just so you know, in England, the words chatter and natter are informal ways of saying having a chat. Cafes and other venues join the scheme and designate a chatter and natter table, which is where customers can sit if they're happy to talk to other customers, even if they don't know them. If a cafe has a chatter and natter table, it means that in that moment of deciding where to sit, someone does want a bit of company, then they know they can sit at the chatter and natter table for a few minutes or longer, or for a longer conversation. No one has to sit there if they don't want to, so there is no pressure. These tables solve my own problem, but it turns out that they are bringing people together now in many places, with chatter and natter tables spreading over the UK, and not just in the UK, but increasingly in other countries around the world, even here in Krakow. So how does it work? Well, cafes and other venues can join for just £10 or about 50 Polish zloty per year. And for that, we send them a pack containing a table sign, stickers, leaflets, and posters. And the venues decide which table to designate and when. We just ask them to be consistent with the days and times and to make sure that their staff know about it. And from January 2020, we are also launching Chatty Wednesdays, where we are encouraging all our venues to have a chatter and natter table on a Wednesday morning. We list the venues on our website, and the public can search for their nearest table, or if they prefer to ask us on the phone, they can just ring us. We're not running this as a business to make money, but as a community interest company, because connecting people and encouraging real life in person, face-to-face interaction matters. It mattered to me, and it matters to other people as well. For example, Joan and Sarah got talking at a chatter and natter table, and within 20 minutes, 30-year-old Sarah could tell you more about 65-year-old Joan than she could about any of her work colleagues. Venues include cafes, pubs, community centres, care homes and libraries, and chatter and natter tables are for anywhere people can come together. There's no reason they can't spread to schools, company canteens, technology parks, or places none of us have even thought of yet. And if anyone here or watching online has a new idea where this might work, we would love to hear from you and give it a go. We are very proud to now have over 2,000 venues across the UK and a small number of venues in Australia, Canada, Gibraltar, and now Poland and Lithuania. I think that this is a huge achievement, given that the scheme has been created and run during evenings and weekends and since April 2017, and amazingly it has truly organically spread. Right now we are growing steadily, but with no money spent on marketing, but it wasn't always like this. And from day one, I knew I wanted to try and create a buzz, spending as little money as possible. I wanted to test the idea and see if anyone liked it, and I've kept this way of thinking since then. For me, seeing the scheme as testing an idea doesn't feel as scary. So I googled how to create a website, then had a go and asked a local designer to help me create some posters. I set up Twitter and Facebook pages and then went into local cafes to see what they thought and if they would join. Going into that first cafe to see if they liked the idea was really scary. I psyched myself up to give it a hard sell, but what I found was that they liked the concept and were happy to try it. Many said they had customers they could see were lonely and that staff didn't always have time to chat to them. And we now hear that many of our cafes have to make their tables bigger to accommodate more people and have less tables being taken up by just one customer. For a while, at the start, I gave the packs away for free, and what I found was that although the cafes said yes to the idea, because they got the pack for free, they weren't necessarily committed to it. So about 6 months in, I decided to charge the venues to join, which was a really difficult decision for me because I didn't have a clue how to price it, and I was really worried that the venues wouldn't pay. But interestingly though, I found that putting a price on something actually adds value, and it also means that the venues really want to be involved, which gives them more ownership of it. And since charging, we've seen a steady increase in the number of venues joining, going from 2 in June 2017 to 83 this November, which is with no paid for advertising. There have, of course, been lots of challenges along the way, and being emotionally involved has held me back when it comes to some decisions such as charging to join, and it has been hard sometimes to find the energy to keep going, especially when I started working full-time on my day job as a social worker. So having to work on the scheme in the evenings and weekends took a lot of determination. And also, not knowing how to evidence the impact has been really hard, as that's something that everybody wants to know. We can easily speak to the venues, but getting to the people using the tables is much harder. And although we receive lots of lovely feedback via social media and emails and phone calls, we want to find a way to reach those end users. So any ideas that anyone has here today would be greatly appreciated. Now, that's how I got it started, but I'll now have a look at why. So loneliness is a really big, heavy and negatively loaded word. And I knew from day one that reducing loneliness was going to be a byproduct of bringing people together. And I didn't want our publicity to mention loneliness. Instead, we wanted our message to be really upbeat and positive, with the message that the chatter and natter tables are for everyone. And it was important to me that they were aimed at everyone, as a new mum, I was often grouped with other new mums in mother and baby groups, just like older people get put in senior clubs. And these categorisations happen really often, but in all honesty, you don't necessarily always want to be with other people just like you, and it's good to be mixed up. So our tables are for people of all ages and backgrounds, couples, friends, people on their own, carers and who they care for, younger people, older people, and everyone in between. 60-year-old Mary Lou in Gibraltar runs an organisation. She's a retired businesswoman and has plenty of friends, but she meets her friends at chatter and natter tables, and they are thrilled if someone joins them and fine if they don't. Connecting people and facilitating human interaction, no matter how quick, can make a person go from invisible to visible, to feel human and being part of society. And it's not just me who says this matters. Johann Hari's TED Talk on addiction, he says that we are one of the loneliest societies there has ever been. And although he was talking about America, it is the same for so many countries. People can become isolated for lots of different reasons. When you are working, you are part of something. You have a place in the world and an identity. If that role stops for whatever reason, maternity, retirement, illness, it can be really difficult. And finding things to do to fill empty days, not wanting to pester the same people over and over for company, and feeling isolated has a hugely detrimental effect on our physical and mental well-beings. Humans are social creatures, and although I and most of us love time to ourselves, at some point we do need that interaction to feel alive. And becoming a mum was what cut me off from other people. My job as a social worker made me realise the importance of acting on ideas that could make a difference. So the reason I'm here is because my idea is a 21st century solution to the global epidemic of loneliness and isolation.